Good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine from SEB Housing. And tonight I'm going to run the lottery for the 10 affordable rental units at 1180 Boylston in Brookline. So I'll get the lottery drawings underway in just a few minutes. Right off the bat, though, I just want to give sort of a big disclaimer right at the beginning of the session to let everyone know that the next steps for this lottery are currently on hold. So normally after a lottery, I would be sorting the results, creating the waiting list, but that's not going to be happening after the drawing tonight. So I just want to explain a little bit further why that is. So the owner of this property is working with the town to potentially remove the age restriction, which is the 55 plus age restriction for this property. So unfortunately, at this moment in time, we don't know whether or not that's going to go through. So, you know, we don't know if this lottery drawing is going to really have, the results of the lottery tonight are really going to have any bearing at all on which applicants are able to move forward in the process and eventually lease these affordable units. So given that uncertainty, though, we've decided to go ahead and proceed with the lottery drawing tonight in case the results can be used later, because we don't know which way this is going to go. So hopefully that doesn't cause too much confusion, but just wanted to get that out there. We have had some questions come in, you know, maybe if you're local to Brookline, this has been already made known that maybe the age restriction will be lifted. So our understanding is that there is going to be a meeting with the town in mid-June, so we should know more after that, and we'll be reaching out to all applicants after that time once we know what we should be doing going forward. So just for some background information still, so you know who has applied for this lottery. This was a popular lottery. There's 10 total affordable units, 218 completed applications. So when I do the drawing tonight, there's going to be 218 households. The lottery application numbers go up to 228, and that's just because there were some people who had duplicate applications and some people who wanted to withdraw their application after the fact. So for the 4 one-bedroom apartments, we had 161 applicants. For the 6 two-bedroom apartments, we had 78 applicants. And there is 1 two-bedroom disabled accessible unit, and there was 12 applicants who indicated a need for those features. So back when you completed your lottery application, you indicated and we confirmed your household type, either type 1 or type 2. And just keep that in mind for the 2-bedroom waiting list that will eventually be created. Type 2 households have priority over qualified type 1 households. And that's really just meaning if you have a need for 2 bedrooms, you're going to have priority on the waiting list, the 2-bedroom waiting list, since the program's designed so the households don't have priority for units, for larger units than they might actually require. There is a local preference, so there's going to be 2 drawings tonight. The first will be the local preference drawing. The second will be the general drawing. There's 39 applicants who have local preference for Brookline, and those 39 application numbers will be sorted first for the local preference drawing, and then I will do a second drawing with all 218 application numbers. I'm going to be doing the drawing digitally, so you're going to see it on your screen. It's going to be done through a website called random.org. I'll screen share in just a minute so you can see how that's going to work before I do the actual drawing. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to resort the numbers that I put in there, and so that's going to be the drawing itself, rather than pulling application numbers out of a box. It's just going to be a digital drawing. So just for some clarity on how that's going to look, I'm just going to share my screen right now so you can see what random.org looks like. It's a really basic looking website, and I'm going to use the list randomizer function in here. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to type in the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and have it resort it. This isn't the drawing yet. When I do the drawing in just a few minutes, it's going to, the lottery application numbers will be in the format that you're familiar with, so A.001 and on down. So I'm going to click randomize. This is just for demonstration purposes, and what it did was it just resorted the numbers. So in this case, number 4 was first, as you can see from there. So that's what it's going to look like in just a few minutes when I do the 2 drawings tonight. And when I generate the lottery list, that's what I'm going to send you after tonight rather than the waiting list, because we don't know if the lottery results are going to be used. But just so you know what the result was of this, it's going to be emailed to the email address that you gave us on your application. So like I said, normally I'd be sending you the results, the sorted results on waiting lists, but we still need to wait to hear on next steps. So you can expect an email from me tonight with that information and just clarification for anybody who wasn't on this call about the fact that this lottery is basically on hold in terms of the next steps in the process. And then you can expect to get another email from SEB Housing, probably from info@SEB Housing sometime in late June, to confirm the next steps in the process. So we'll let you know then if the age restriction has been removed and whether or not the lottery results from tonight can be utilized to create the waiting list. So since there's many factors that remain up in the air, given how we do not know how things will shake out with the town, we know that there's going to be, some people who have already applied for this lottery who may not be interested any longer if it's not a 55+ community. And then we also know that there's going to be quite a few applicants probably who will be interested who weren't able to apply because of the age restriction. So anyway, that's sort of the background. I know there's a couple questions here, so let me just take a look at the chat. Okay, so the question here is, if the building becomes all ages, will the results be null and void? Yes, basically. Well, I don't know that for sure. So there's a few ways this could go. It could be that the people who applied for this lottery that were approved and they're 55+ households, it could be that there's priority for those applicants who already submitted their application. It could be that the town says we need to open the lottery again for 60 days so that everyone can apply, or maybe for a shorter period of time. We just don't know how it's going to go. So it's possible that the results from tonight will be used in some way. That's why we're doing the drawing tonight, because we potentially could use these. If not, we might have to do another lottery. Yep, and then a question here, can I make the print larger when I share the numbers? So the first thing I'm going to do is when I do the drawing, I will screen share so you can see it. I'll try to maximize it a little bit. But there's not going to be much of a delay with me sending these results to your email address. So rather than going through, I will scroll through the results, but rather than going through and looking up everyone's number like I normally would on a call, I'm going to email this to you within the next 15 minutes after the call. So you will have the results in your email. Question here, do you know why the developer wants to lift the age restriction? I actually don't. I don't know if maybe the market rate units, I can't really speculate why that would be. But it was in their permit that it would be a 55+ building, and now they're looking to remove that. Yep, so I'm visually impaired and cannot read the screen or a screenshot. How will I know where my number came up? So I can let you know. I can look it up and let you know which slot you were drawn. You could, once I do the drawing, just send me a message with your lottery application number, so I can look that up. So yep, question here, would those who have applied by tonight take priority over later applicants who are going to apply? I don't know, potentially. That's one of the questions that's kind of up in the air, and why we want to do the drawing tonight, just for applicants who did apply by the initial deadline. So, yep, question here, good question. Since these will again be recategorized, what is the purpose of tonight's lottery? It's possible that there is no purpose to tonight's lottery, but there may be an example or a outcome that could allow us to use the results from tonight's lottery. So we weren't given clarity on what the potential outcome will be, and we won't know for another month. So rather than wait another month, we decided that we would go through with this lottery and hopefully not confuse the 200 applicants who we already have. So we'll do our best, both by me letting you know now up front what the situation is, and then also the email that you will get from me with the lottery results from tonight will have the same sort of information that I just gave you. All right, so if there's no other questions right now, I'm going to go ahead and screen share again to do the 2 drawings. And again, I apologize that there's so much kind of so many things that are kind of factors that are up in the air right now with this lottery. We were not aware when we began the marketing for these units, obviously, that there was a potential change to the permit. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to screen share again. So you can see my screen while I do the local preference drawing. Bear with me one second here. All right, I'm sharing my screen again. You should be able to see random.org, and I'm going to go to list randomizer again. And I'm going to do the local preference drawing. There's 39 application numbers over here, but those represent the 39 households who have local preference. So that means that these households either live full-time in Brookline right now, they have children going to Brookline public schools, or they work somewhere within Brookline. So I'm going to copy and paste these 39 lottery application numbers into the list randomizer function here. And I'm going to click randomize. And this is the local preference drawing for 1180 Boylston. And I'm going to take these results. I know it's small right now, but I'm going to take these results and put them into my spreadsheet here, which has a little bit easier to see. But before I go through the results, I'm going to do the second drawing. So I'm going to do the general drawing before sorry about that. I'm just trying to make this a little easier to read. There we go. Okay. So these were this was the drawing for local preference. There's 39 numbers here. I'll go back to that and scroll through it so you're able to see those results. So now on to the general drawing. I'm going to completely X out of this so we can get a new list randomizer field here for the general drawing. So this is going to have 218 application numbers, because this is the general drawing that includes all households who were approved for this lottery. And so I've copied them here. I'm going to click randomize, and these are this is the order. And again, I'm going to move this over. And just bear with me one second. All right, so those are the 2 drawings for 1180 Boylston. I'm going to go back to the local preference drawing right now. For anyone who had local preference, you should see your number somewhere on the screen. I'm going to scroll down to so you can see all 39 just order drawn here is on the left, your lottery application number is on the right. So you'll see that, for example, the 21st number drawn was A.171. And then the general drawing, I will maximize this as much as I can. As you can see, A.157 was drawn first in the general drawing. And I'll scroll down. But again, these are the lottery results. This is the list that's going to be emailed to you in just a few minutes. So you'll be able to look up your lottery application number in just a few minutes when I send it to you by email. But I'm just scrolling down so you can take a look. Unfortunately, I think everybody was on the call when I first started it, but these results may or may not mean really anything because the permit potentially is going to be changed for this property, and we may need to either run another lottery, open marketing again. We're not really sure because the age restriction may be lifted, and that would mean that households who do not have a member that's over the age of 55 maybe need to be able to have a chance to apply. So we don't really know what the next step is, but if we are able to use these lottery results, we wanted to do the lottery drawing tonight so that we could go through with that lottery date that we had publicized. So I'm getting towards the end here. I know there's a couple comments, so I will be looking at those in just a second. Just wanted to get through all of these. So if you wanted to look at it on the screen, you could see it. If not, again, these lottery results are going to be sent to you in just a minute. Okay. Okay. What does placement in tonight's lottery mean? Again, we don't know if it means much of anything because we may not be able to use these results based off of the fact that the developer is looking to remove the age restriction. But it's possible that we'll be able to use these results to, as we normally would after a lottery, sort the results onto the waiting list. What email address to find out where my number fell on the general list? So the email address that I'm going to be sending this list to in just a few minutes is the email address that you submitted your application with. So on your application, you submitted a email address, and you also should have received a eligibility notice from SEB Housing at that email address. So wherever your lottery application number was received, that's the email address that we have on file for you. Another question, so why are local preference applicants going into the general drawing? So everyone is, this is another confusing part. So every household is going to be on both the local preference and the non-local preference list. I have the waiting list up on your screen now. I hope you can see that because I'm still screen sharing. I'll try to make this a little bigger. So local preference households have priority on the local preference lists. There's 7 units that will eventually have local preference. So if you're a local preference household, you're going to have priority on these lists. If you're a non-local preference household, you would have priority on this other 1-bedroom list here, or if you need a disabled accessible unit on these ones as well. If you're a non-local preference household, you're still going to have a place on these local preference waiting lists, but it will be further down. So everyone is on both lists, but certain waiting lists have priority for local preference. So again, I know this is super confusing. We don't know really what the next steps are or whether or not these results are going to mean much of anything, but I appreciate the questions and obviously the interest in the property. Another question here, what about the ADA 2-bedroom unit? So yeah, the ADA, meaning the disabled accessible 2-bedroom unit, there is no local preference for that, for either of the disabled accessible or the hearing accessible. Yep, so if you applied for the 2-bedroom ADA unit, you don't need to have local well, there is no local preference, so whether or not you had local preference, you would still have the priority for those units. Any other questions? Like I said, I'm going to email you in just a few minutes with the results, but I hope that, we appreciate your patience, and hopefully about this time next month, hopefully a little bit less than a month from now, you will have more information from us, and we'll let you know what the result was with the potential lifting of the age restriction. Can I read off the waiting list for the 2-bedroom accessible? Nope, so there isn't a waiting list yet. We don't know, I'm not going to be sorting the results from the results of tonight's drawing onto the waiting list, because there are no waiting lists to be created yet, since we don't know if these results are going to be able to be used. But I can tell you that there were, and this information is going to be sent to you as well, there were 12 households who were interested in the 2-bedroom ADA unit. So there will be 12 people on that waiting list if we are able to use these results. So a question here, how do I contact you as a reasonable accommodation with communications as phone and speech? Sure, so you can email info@scbhousing.com. That's where you're going to want to get in touch with us, if that's the best way to reach us for you rather than phone. How many 1-bedroom units again? So there are 4 1-bedroom units and 6 2-bedroom units. And like I said, I'll be emailing everybody in just a few minutes, and we appreciate your understanding with this. Hopefully there's a resolution that is quick and easy to understand once we do have that, so we can share it with everybody. All right, we'll be in touch soon. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Bye now.